Welcome to Our Devil. Today we are taking a look at r/am I the antagonist. Our first story is from Double Chicken 3487. Am I the antagonist for telling mother-in-law that we will never help her in old age if she chooses my fiancé's ex's wedding over ours? My fiancé's mom hates me. She has been nothing short of the mother-in-law from hell. And she has his ex on a pedestal. My fiancé and I have the same wedding date as his ex, which is kind of crazy. But anyone planning a wedding right now knows how hectic everything is due to so many weddings being postponed during COVID. And getting any date, let alone a perfect date, is hard. I've always known that she preferred the ex and wanted him to marry her. This used to really bother me. And we even tried to get her to cut contact. But that blew up spectacularly and there was a huge fight. His ex works for mother-in-law, was a hair and makeup artist / somewhat of an assistant. And they are still very close. Mother-in-law recently sat us down and said she could only come to our ceremony. And then would be leaving to make it to his ex's ceremony. She said she didn't want to fight about it as she had thought long and hard. And it felt right to her as his ex has no family. We were both furious. And the more I stewed on it, the more angry I was for my fiancé. I let mother-in-law know that we would not try and change her mind. But something needs to be super clear. We will never do a thing for her. She is losing her right to be considered immediate family and she needs to plan accordingly. There will be no care when she is elderly. No financial help. She will never ever live with us. Mother-in-law became furious. She said I was manipulative and that was so insulting as she has never asked anyone for money. She has thrived career-wise. And she said I'm insulting her career. I said I know she has done very well. But really anything can happen. Mother-in-law said it was unforgivably insulting, as she has been financially independent since she was a teen. And now she isn't talking to us. The whole family is taking her side and saying it was a weird threat. To be honest, I don't think she is going to need our money. But I just wanted my point to be clear. That there will be no help whatsoever when she is old. Comment by Madeline Gumbo. Info. What has she actually done besides remain close to her son's ex? Who works for her? Comment by AngelGirl127. Not the antagonist. Sure, family is family, but she's literally choosing her son's ex over her own son. That is insane and I wouldn't help her ever either or consider her family. Comment by Ewok Cafe. Info. 1. Who scheduled first? What specifically has mother-in-law done to you that indicates she hates you? How early is leaving early? Would it be during the ceremony? Our next story is from Throwaway 69,509,765. Am I the antagonist for giving my brother and his wife 2 days to return my piano? I, female 32, developed an interest for piano after meeting my late husband, who was a piano teacher for 7 years. He taught me to play it and he helped me buy one, used one but still a bit expensive, 2 years ago. I play it every day. After his passing, 6 months ago, I just find comfort spending time playing. However, my brother and his wife, who came to stay with me for 2 months after losing their apartment, always complain about the piano noise, although I only play at daytime. Sister-in-law and I started arguing more frequently and my brother told me to only play it when they're out, but I refused. Yesterday, I was out with friends for the day, then I came in the evening. I found that my piano was gone. Turns out my brother had moved it to a friend's garage. I don't know which friend, while I was gone. I blew up at him and yelled that he had no right to touch it or move it. His wife said they did this as a last-ditch effort to get some peace and quiet in the house. My brother reassured me that he'll give it back once he finds his own place and I get to live alone and play the piano all day long. He was sarcastic in his last line and couldn't take it. I told them to pack and leave my house because they were no longer welcome after this. He freaked out and tried begging me to take it easy and be more rational. But I threatened to call the police if they refused to leave. He took his family and left. The piano still isn't back and they're saying they'd give it back if I agree to let them move back in, basically wanting things to go back to how gay were when they were complaining about the noise. They believe that what happened was a misunderstanding and every one of us mishandled the situation, so they want to start new. I lost it and told them they have 2 days to return it or I'll call the cops on them. Mom is pressuring me to take them back, saying it was my fault for not have any consideration for them as my guests to begin with. But I refused to take them back and put my foot down on the timeline I gave. Now I'm being called irrational and cruel to kick my brother out. Watch him struggle and refuse to let him move back in, and choosing to escalate this to the authorities when I could just let them move back in and I get my piano back. Comment by Training Dearest, not the antagonist. I'm shocked that anyone, especially your own mother, would condone the antagonistiness of your brother's behavior. This was not his home. It was yours. This was not his property. It was yours. He had no rights to dictate your actions. Or touch your property. Much less hold it hostage to make more demands? Mom should have been the one telling him to return it immediately. Apparently that's where your brother learned his poor behavior from. I would not only call the police on him, but I would make it known to the friend that is keeping the piano that he is also on the hook for keeping the stolen goods. And have charges brought against that person too. Comment by Piger, not the antagonist. It's your place and your piano. They stole your piano and are holding it ransom to get their way, so not only stealing your property but trying to use extortion, blackmail. If you let us back, we will eventually let you know where it is. Quote closing parenthesis. As well. Call the cops ASAP and report it stolen and tell the cops they know where it is and won't tell you. I wouldn't let them, your family, back in your place for the time being. But seriously. Get the cops involved. They had no right to pull this crap with you. It's your home. Your property. The audacity is mind-blowing. They are taking advantage of you, so graciously giving them a place to stay. Especially in such a difficult time of life for you, with the loss of your late husband. Your mom or some other family member can take them in and deal with all this stuff. It's not your responsibility to take care of them. Comment by Catamino. Not the antagonist, but make that police report now. They have had their chance to be reasonable and do the right thing, but they haven't. They don't deserve any more warnings. Heck, I would post on SM that your piano has been stolen and the police have been notified. But if anyone knows anything, let you know ASAP. Maybe the friend will come forward and return your piano. Friend may not be aware it was stolen because who knows what he was told. Our next story is from Throwow679991. Am I the antagonist for refusing to pay for fix the babysitter's laptop? I, single mom of 2, hired a babysitter after I started working a new job, used to do WFH for 2 years. My kids are 8 and 6. The babysitter is 17. She brings her laptop with her to study, which is perfectly okay with me as long as she keeps an eye on the kids. Yesterday, I came home and the babysitter showed me her laptop that got broken by my youngest. I was shocked. I asked how this happened. And she said that she left the laptop in the living room and went to make the kids lunch, but my youngest grabbed it and ran with it till he dropped it and broke the screen. I said that was horrible and apologized to her, but stated it was her fault for leaving the laptop within reach of children. She said she thought my kids were old enough to know not to touch other stuff. I explained how they might have thought it belonged to us since it was in our house. She asked if I could pay for it to get fixed, but I refused and insisted it was her problem, not mine. She ranted about having exams soon and not having enough money to get it fixed. We argued and I had to tell her to go home after she persisted. Later on, I got a call from her dad basically blaming the whole thing on me and demanding I pay to get the laptop fixed, but I still refused. Now she's refusing to come again unless I pay her for the laptop repair, even though I paid her in advance to watch the kids. Comment by Zippy Kaye. You are the antagonist, and as others have noted, your children are old enough to know better. I'm amazed at your gall in insisting the sitter come back and babysit for you when you refuse to take responsibility and pay to get the laptop fixed. Comment by Andrea AK88. At what age do you think kids should learn not to touch things that don't belong to them? It's super concerning to me that you think, as a parent of 2 children, that this shouldn't have been taught to your kids years ago. Like hello? Comment by BQZS. YTA. Your kid broke it. And not accidentally either. They're also 6 and 8. Not 2 and 4. They knew it was an electronic device. And unless you literally have the exact same computer, they knew it was hers. Our next story is from Happily Single Dwarf. Am I the antagonist for telling my sister-in-law that I will call the cops for child abandonment the moment she steps out of the house? Me, 25 male. My brother Jack, 27 male, and his wife Jill, 25 female. It all started when Jack and Jill got pregnant. Their lease almost ended and my parents invited them to stay at our house. The day they came, Jack asked me why I haven't moved out of my room yet. I was confused. Like WTF. And he told me that he and Jill will be at my room and I go to guest room. I refused. But my parents got mad. We got into a fight. I lost and ended in much smaller guest room. Then Jill had a problem with my cooking. I eat scrambled eggs with mozzarella and avocado every day for breakfast and she couldn't stand the smell. She asked me to stop. I refused. My parents got involved. I had to stop. There were problems with other food too. And I had to stop cooking them. I was told I must be more accommodating cause she pregnant. Like that is my problem. Then Jill started to boss me around. We were alone for 8 hours while my parents and Jack worked. She obviously thought I will be her personal maid. I refused. She threw a temper tantrum. Like always. And I again had big fight with Jack and my parents. I was told that she had a high risk pregnancy and was on bed rest. And I'm an antagonist for not helping her. I told Jack that he knocked her up. It's his responsibility. I stood my ground and in the end Jill's cousin came to help her sometimes. Then Jill gave birth to my nephew. I congratulated them when they came home. And that is it. I don't like babies. So I mostly keep for myself now. But that doesn't stop Jill to ask for favors. Please watch the baby while I take quick shower. Please watch it while I make myself some food. Etc. I always refuse and we all have new fights over and over again. It all came to head last Friday when she asked me to watch my nephew while she goes to pharmacy for baby formula. I refused. She got mad and we had a fight. She grabbed her purse to go anyway and I told her that the moment she walks out that door I will call the police for child abandonment. I was serious and she knew it. She broke down and screamed what a horrible human being I am. Then she ran to her room. She had complete mental breakdown. When Jack and my parents came home we had the biggest fight yet. Jack accused me of hating Jill and my nephew. Upon other things. I told him I refuse to bond because they will weaponize him against me. My parents told me enough is enough. That they can't believe they raised such a selfish human being. And that either I help or I move out. I'm thinking of second option. Am I the antagonist? Edit. I work from home and pay 50% of all household expenses. Including mortgage. Jack and Jill don't contribute anything for expenses. Comment by Silly Stallion. From what you have said in your update and comments you would be financially better moving out. Comment by Upset River 4741. Comment by Amazing Cranberry 344. You should move out. Everybody sounds awful. I'm more sympathetic to Op because I was in a situation where I was older, covered the bills of the home and I was often left without notice for long hours, sometimes days, taking care of elderly or children that I had not agreed to, and for people who refused to make alternative arrangements because no one thought I had a right to say no because I was single and childless and a general doormat. It doesn't make a difference who is right or wrong, move out. You don't want to do it and it is not your responsibility. Our next story is from Renevermore. Am I the antagonist for calling the police on my fiance? Last night my 35 male fiance, 38 female, left in the evening to give a friend's son a ride back to his home. She implied she'd be home before 9. She left at around 7:45. 10:15 rolled around and she still wasn't home. I texted and she apologized to me, saying that her friend's son was actually in the next town over, maybe 30 minutes away, and she was coming home now. 11:45 rolled around and she still hadn't come home. So I called her to no answer. Texted her to no response. I was getting very upset. 12:30 rolled around and still no response and no answer to my phone calls. I was extremely angry. 1:30 rolled around and my anger had completely transformed into worry. Not answering my calls and texts, not read. Around 1:45 I called the police. I have always heard that the first 24 hours of someone being missing is the most important. So I didn't want to delay. I asked them to let me know if there had been any traffic accidents involving her car. And the operator told me that they would put out the word and send some cops to check along the route she would travel. I called all the hospitals in the area to check if she has been checked in, and I waited outside watching the road for her car for 3 hours. Partially because I didn't want the kids to hear me on the phone with hospitals. And secondly because I was sick with worry. At 7 a.m. she came home. She apologized for being out and said she had no excuse. She was driving home and felt tired, like she was falling asleep at the wheel. So she pulled over to the side of the road to sleep. When she did that, she found that her brand new phone had stopped working. She says she napped anyway because it was the responsible thing to do. And then came home at 7 a.m. to bring the kids to school and get to work on time. I immediately called the police and told them that she had come home safely and gave them the case number and told them to stop searching. Which they did. My fiance brought the kids to school and left for work. I set out to start cleaning. Cleaning de-stresses me sometimes. And I got a call from a policeman asking where she worked. I told him. And asked why. And I was informed that it was their policy to check on the person's wellness after a missing person is found. I asked them to not go by her work but to give her a call instead. He said he couldn't promise. My fiancé is relatively new to her job. A police officer showed up and asked to speak with her. She is now enraged at me for calling the police and sending a cop to her work and making her look bad. She is saying I overreacted and that she wasn't missing and that I was punishing her for doing the responsible thing and not driving while drowsy. She is saying that she is never going to leave the house again except for work. Because she is afraid I'm going to call the cops on her again. So did I overreact? Should I have waited 2 days like she suggests? Comment by a Megstage. Not the antagonist. You were right to call the cops, but I don't think that's the biggest issue here. So at 10:15. She was 30 minutes away, so that puts her arrival time at 10:45. Between 10:15 and 10:45 she got too tired to drive anymore, so she pulled over to rest. She proceeded to sleep for 8 hours straight through. Since she returned at 7 a.m. Come on dude. You can't really be buying that she slept undisturbed for 8 hours on the side of the road when police were out looking for her car. She is lying. I don't know if she is cheating on you or is involved with drugs or gambling or what, but she did not sleep 8 hours on the side of the road when she was 30 minutes away from home. Comment by Fading Blue. Not the antagonist. She said she was on her way home at 10:15 p.m. and then disappeared until 7 a.m. Of course you were going to call the police and have them go looking for her. If she'd been in an accident or worse, she would have been dead if you'd waited 2 days to call. That being said, she's definitely lying about what happened. It honestly sounds more like she fell asleep at her affair partner's place and concocted that bogus excuse to cover her ass. Comment by Marriadoxem. Not the antagonist, so a 1-hour drive turned into nearly 12 hours? You know she's lying, right? If she was just driving the kid home, she would have been home around 9 p.m. and wouldn't have been driving in the middle of the night and gotten so tired she was falling asleep at the wheel. Her phone wouldn't have died and you wouldn't have been worried or had to call the police. Even if she stayed to chat with her friend, she would have been home around 10:30/10:45, and a half an hour drive at that time for the average person should be no issue. My guess is that she dropped off the kid and then met up with someone. Told you she was on her way home. Stayed. Ended up falling asleep and then panicked that she fell asleep and rushed home for 7 a.m. and gave you the BS story. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button, and subscribe to our Devil. See you in the next one.